Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of J.R.R. Tolkien's most baffling, enigmatic creations, Tom Bombadil. If you've ever read the source text, you know that trying to pin down exactly who or what Tom is, well, it kind of feels like trying to catch water in your bare hands. But here's the thing. By looking really closely at his specific adventures, and especially the precise way he handles conflict, we can actually uncover a totally fascinating pattern of power. So we're going to map out his journey, break down his methods, and discover the true strength behind his constant merry singing. Right off the bat, the poem hits us with a literal burst of primary colors. We meet our merry fellow, and he's wrapped in bright blue and yellow, topped off with a swan wing feather sticking out of his tall hat. Now, this isn't just some quirky fashion statement. It's actually our first really critical piece of data. Tom completely stands out against the natural, earthy backdrop of his world. He's this walking, talking embodiment of unbreakable joy, a guy who spends his summers running after shadows and tickling bumblebees. But don't let that fool you. That carefree exterior, it masks an absolute mastery over his environment, which gets tested almost immediately. So Tom's incredibly chaotic sequence of adventures kicks off right by the Withywindle River. Picture this. He's just sitting there by the water, minding his own business, his long beard dangling down into the stream. And then, suddenly, a tug. He gets playfully yanked by Goldberry, the river woman's daughter. She pulls his hanging hair and literally drags him down into the bubbling, swallowing water. His prized feather hat is drowning, the fish are totally spooked, and he is fully submerged. It's a sudden, aggressive ambush. But pay really close attention to how Tom reacts to being essentially kidnapped by a river. Okay, notice this precise three-step pattern he establishes right here. This is absolutely crucial because it's basically the blueprint for the entire text. Step 1, he gets ambushed. Step 2, does he panic? Does he fight or thrash around? Nope. He simply speaks. He tells Goldberry he does not care for waiting and just commands her to go down and sleep again where the pools are shady. And step 3, she instantly obeys. She swims right back to her mother's house, and Tom just resumes his day. He goes and sits on some willow roots to dry his boots. It's a stunning display of authority, and he pulls it off entirely through casual command. Now, this pattern builds in a massive way when Tom runs into his next obstacle. While he's sitting there drying off, Old Man Willow wakes up. The giant tree starts singing, and this song works exactly like a spell, putting Tom fast asleep right there under the swinging branches. Then, with a sharp snick, the tree closes a wooden crack tight around Tom. It traps him completely, coat, hat, feather, the whole shebang. The willow even starts taunting him for peeping inside his tree and tickling him with a feather. So boom, once again, Tom is captured. Only this time it's not by water, but by wood. And how does Tom respond? By repeating his completely unbothered defense mechanism. He wakes up and immediately scolds this massive, aggressive tree. He literally complains that the crooked roots make for a terrible pillow and demands to be let out. And listen to the specific command he issues here. Go back to sleep again like the river daughter. He uses the exact same tactic. He doesn't pull out an axe and chop the tree down, he just tells it to go to sleep. And just like that, the willow lets him loose, locking its wooden doors and muttering to itself as Tom casually walks away. Well, later that very same day, the rain starts coming down, and Tom skips into a hole for some shelter. But surprise, it's a trap. Out pops Badger Brock and his whole family of sons. They grab Tom by the coat and drag him deep into the earth, down through all their secret tunnels, gloating the entire time that he'll never find his way out. But Tom just continues his absolute masterclass in dominance. He treats these fiercely territorial creatures not like terrifying monsters, but like disobedient little kids. He demands they show him out, clean their grimy paws, wipe their earthy noses, and, you guessed it, go back to sleep on their straw pillows. The Badgers literally beg his pardon and march him right to the door. So far, so fun, right? But the threat escalates dramatically at nightfall. Tom finally makes it home under hill, unlocks his door, and lights a nice warm candle. But as he turns his bedroom door handle, he finds a supernatural Barrow-wight waiting right behind it. Now, this isn't a playful water sprite or a grumpy, overgrown badger. A Barrow-wight is a dark, ancient spirit from the old stone rings on the hilltop. It explicitly threatens to take Tom under the earth and make him pale and cold. We are talking about the threat of death itself, trespassing right inside Tom's own home. The really crucial point here is the stark contrast in power. The wight brings the sheer, icy terror of the grave. Gleaming eyes, hollow laughter, buried gold, forgotten sorrow, all of it. And Tom's response to this undead nightmare? He doesn't even flinch.
He just looks at this ancient spirit and tells it to get out, shut the door, and lay down its bony head. He effortlessly banishes it, commanding it to sleep just like all the others. And the crazy part? The wight is terrified of him. It flees out the window, sweeping over the wall like a shadow, literally wailing as it retreats back to its lonely mound.
If we map all this out, it brilliantly illustrates Tom's absolute authority. Think about it. He faces 4 distinct attackers from 4 completely different domains of nature and the supernatural. We've got water, wood, earth, and the undead. Yet the resolution for every single encounter is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if the threat is natural or supernatural, physical or spiritual, Tom's merry will and his song easily overpower all of them. He just commands the chaotic forces of the world to rest, to sleep, and to completely yield to his authority. Looking back at these events gives us an incredible perspective on his day, because, remember, this all happens in a single, continuous sequence. From the morning by the river, to the afternoon in the forest, the evening in the earth, and finally, the night in his own home. Tom is relentlessly ambushed. Yet, as the text itself notes, he is a wary fellow. Despite being grabbed, trapped, pulled, and cornered over and over, he is never truly caught or harmed. He just floats through a highly dangerous world, completely untouched by its malice. But then, the poem does something amazing. It pivots. Turning the tables completely, Tom goes out one day and becomes the captor himself. He finds the river daughter, Goldberry, sitting in the rushes in her green gown, singing these old water songs, and Tom catches her. He holds her fast. The water rats scutter away, the reeds hiss, and her heart flutters. The one man who could never ever be caught by the world has deliberately reached out and captured a beautiful piece of it for himself. But, importantly, this isn't an ambush of malice. It's a courtship. He woos her with promises of an abundant, safe home under hill. Just listen to the imagery he uses here. Yellow cream, honeycomb, white bread and butter, roses at the windowsill. He tells her she'll find no lover down in her deep weedy pool. And this beautiful promise culminates in a merry wedding where Goldberry is robed in silver green, adorned with forget-me-nots and flag lilies, and Tom is just singing like a starling. He brings true warmth and domestic joy to the wild river daughter. Which brings us to the fascinating and honestly pretty eerie conclusion of our text. As Tom and his new bride are sleeping soundly in their bright honeymoon, with lamps gleaming and white bedding all around them, the outside world reacts. All the defeated threats from his previous adventures come back and surround the house in the dark. The badger folk are dancing under the hill, Old Man Willow is tapping right at the window pane, the river woman is sighing out in the reeds, and the Barrow-wight is crying in his mound. The darkness and the danger are literally knocking at the glass. But the text gives us one final, unbelievably powerful detail to close on. Old Tom Bombadil heeded not the voices. He completely ignores the taps, the knocks, and all the terrifying noises of the night. He simply sleeps until the sun rises, then wakes up and chops sticks while his wife combs her hair. And so we're left to ask ourselves, what kind of extraordinary power does it take to just ignore the darkness, to know it is literally tapping at your window, and to choose to sleep peacefully and wake up singing anyway? Perhaps, in the end, an unbreakable, joyful spirit isn't just a personality trait. Maybe it is the most impenetrable armor of all.